All right, how's that? I had my mic muted. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Happy to see you all this evening. Hope you guys had a great day and are ready for some awesome learning tonight. All right, guys? All right, so let's go ahead and jump in, shall we? All right, so today is day 2 of our 4-day live workshop or live challenge. And today is all about your grand total income, the metrics, numbers, pricing, and participants to hit your desired yearly goal. So, guys, just want to let you know, a lot of numbers today. Nothing complicated, actually really pretty straightforward and easy, but definitely a lot of numbers. So, but this is really important. I think you're going to get a ton out of today's session. It is one of the most important things that we can do in a business, and that is to really take pen to paper and do some projections, some financial projections. And so I'm going to walk you through that today. All right. All right, so again, hello everybody and welcome. Lesli Bitel here. And again, I'm so happy that you're here with me. As you know, this is our 4-day masterclass challenge, multiple streams of income for your health practice. And once again, we have a new handout, a new PDF just for today. So be sure that you've downloaded it from again, you can grab that at the top of the page in the Facebook group. You can also go to the files section inside the Facebook group. If anyone is having a hard time finding it, just let us know in the comments and someone from my team will give you a hand. All right. All righty, let's see here. Okay. All right, so yesterday we talked about the importance of having various offers at different price points for your audience. And really we touched quite a lot on how having only one-to-one services really tends to leave out a lot of people who would really otherwise be willing to take a smaller or maybe more of a medium-sized step with you, but they're not quite ready for private work. Okay. And how not having a variety of offers and opportunities like a home study program or a 6-week webinar series or even a 2-day workshop, at the end of the day, you are leaving money on the table, right? By not having these services. And that's really what we're going to try to solve this week. So, and really the other thing that I think is really important is that not having this profit pyramid, really filled in for yourself, not only does it leave money on the table, but it also keeps you from serving everyone that you can. So people need your help. I think that's a really important concept to remember as we move forward. People need your help. They need what you do. And so we want to give them options so that we can, pretty much have a little something for everyone that is within your niche. So remember, your homework last night was for you to fill in your own profit pyramid to decide what kind of product or program that you want to put at each level of the pyramid based on how I define the best options and also the reasoning behind them. And one thing I really want to emphasize, again, is that you do not have to know how you're going to get there, okay? You don't have to know the how. I don't expect you to know the how, all right? So please don't let that hold you back. Put that aside. And really what we're trying to do here, instead of knowing how to get there, all we're doing here is I want to help you to map out your service options and really have a tool to help you forecast your revenue, your desired revenue, right? Because so often we don't take the time to do that. I think it's super important to have a revenue goal, and then we need to carry it to the next step, which is, okay, we have this goal. How am I going to get there? What's it going to take? And that's exactly what I'm going to help you do today. All right. So today we want to calculate how many enrollments / clients it'll take for you to hit your revenue goal. All right, so when we get to the Q&A portion of today's training, I'm looking forward to hearing what you all came up with in terms of, today's session, as well as, last night's homework. I'm hoping that you'll be willing to share. You'll be able to ask for some feedback and clarifications if you need to do that, so that, again, we can get you a solid plan that you're really excited about. And guys, if you happen to miss yesterday's training, no worries. I know some of you joined us today. Don't worry about that. The recording is still up in the Facebook group, so you can reference that later. All right. So for today, please grab the worksheet entitled Your Grand Total Income, and you can see that on your screen right now. All right. So without further ado, what we're going to do is we're going to assign some projections, meaning some numbers, to the profit pyramid that we created yesterday. And yesterday, I gave you some real life client examples from people that I've actually worked with. And today, I'll remind you of some of their numbers so you can see exactly how and where these fit into the plan. So in other words, yesterday, we looked at the different levels of services you might offer in your business or in your practice. We looked at having opportunities for clients that start way at the bottom level after your fees, after your free resources, at about 47 up to 147. And then all the way up to the top, representing your highest ticket services, right? Which is typically what you do with private clients. And then we filled in all those different levels in between. So today we're going to look at how to create projections for your business. And what that means is we'll look at what you want to create and determine what the pricing will be and how many people you want to have in each program over a 12-month period of time. So you can, again, use this as a business plan, an actual business model, and you can project your annual income that you're going to make. So it's a really great tool. So I'm going to start by having us pull out, again, today's worksheet. We're going to look at the profit pyramid I created for yesterday that showed all the different levels of services that we were using as our example. And today we're going to begin to put numbers to them. So let's go ahead and do that now. So, all right, here we go. All right, so guys, remember I told you it's kind of a lot of numbers, but it's super simple math. So I just wanted to give you as much detail as I possibly could. All right, so obviously, as I mentioned, we always want to have a lot of free stuff. And that's really important. That being said, the free stuff doesn't directly net us any income, right? It's more of an indirect kind of a thing. But it does not meet it does really help to establish good faith in the marketplace, and basically it's from tasting our work, trying us out by hearing us speak in person, or, perhaps by offering Facebook or Instagram videos, maybe by reading an ebook that we put out there, or maybe listening to you on a podcast, etc., right? All kinds of different ideas that your target audience becomes introduced to your work, and then that know, like, and trust begins to develop. So, of course, all that free stuff does pay off, without a doubt. It's incredibly important, but it's not something we're going to assign a direct monetary value to in the schematic, okay? So that said, it's always a good idea to ask your clients where they found you. So I do want to emphasize that. It's a great way to do a little market research. And this way you can actually validate which of your free offers are effective and maybe which ones are not doing so much for you. So we are going to assign monetary values to all the other levels of the profit pyramid. And as we work our way through the examples, I'm going to use actually very reasonable numbers that I've seen many, many times with my private clients, as well as colleagues and other health professionals. So we're not going to go for like some crazy astronomical, kind of pie in the sky kind of numbers where I'm going to promise, how you're going to make $1 million in your first year, right? I'm not about that. Instead, we're going to use some really realistic numbers that I see people booking all the time, because I want you to be able to see what's really possible for you. All right. So we're not going to, no BS here. Okay. Now, full transparency is that I have clients that make much more than this. And I have some that make, around this amount while working a full-time job, actually, like my client Kevin that hit 125K in 2020 while working only 6 hours a week in his private practice while holding a full-time job at the VA. Interestingly, then in 2022, he hit 200K and was actually in 2021, excuse me, he hit 200K and was actually able to quit his job to do private practice full time. So right in December of 2021, he was able to quit the VA job. And it's because he was able to grow his practice on the side. And, once he hit that 200K mark, he felt comfortable in moving into full-time private practice. So again, these are examples. Your goals might be much higher or lower. Honestly, guys, it really depends on your unique situation. I want you to be somewhat realistic when setting your goals, but at the same time, I want you to stretch yourself as well. It's kind of like Goldilocks in terms of goal setting, right? You don't want it to be too easy because that's kind of boring, but yet you don't want it to be so crazy high that you get frustrated even before you start. You kind of want that happy medium where it's a stretch. It challenges you, but yet it's reasonably obtainable. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. So today we're actually going to start at the top of the pyramid versus the bottom. And we're going to start with private client packages that I've labeled segment A from that first handout. So segment A, if you look at today's handout, this is the handout that assigns those metrics. So for private clients, here's what I'm proposing as a sample for each half of the year, okay? So I've divided the year into 2 6-month segments. All right, guys, really important. So let's say for your private one-on-one services, you have a 6-month intensive, let's just say very reasonably priced at $29.97. And a 3-month signature program, let's say you've got that priced at $19.97. And then let's say a continuation program for people that finish their initial commitment with you and want to continue their work with you. Let's just assign a monetary value to $500 per month for a continuation program. All right, so let's just say hypothetically for this year that you're projecting that you want only 4 people in your $29.97 6-month intensive. Okay, let's just say hypothetically, because you want to spread this out, you decide that each half of the year, you might have 2 6-month clients, again, at a package valued at $29.97, again, for a grand total of 4 per year. Very, very reasonable. So I've divided these into 6-month increments just to show you how, if you're someone that doesn't want to take on too many clients at one time, this is a good model for you, right? So I'm showing you how to split that up into 2 6-month increments. Okay, then for your 3-month signature program, let's forecast that you will take a total of 16 per year, each selling for $19.97. Okay. Then let's say, hope you guys are following me. Just if you look at the right upper, look at your handout in the right upper side, you should be able to follow right along. All right. So Okay, so again, we're talking your 3-month signature program, and we're forecasting that you will take a total of 16 in this program per year, each selling for $19.97. And again, I think this is really quite reasonable. And then let's say that half of those, or 8, okay, so we're just kind of projecting that half of these people, 8 of them that do the 3-month program stop when the program ends. Okay, so that leaves 8 that continue into a continuation program at $500 a month. Okay, so you've got 16 total. 8 of them, we just project, 8 are going to be good to go after their program. They're going to, move on. And then we're projecting that half say, wow, this was so awesome. I want more. I'm not quite ready to go out on my own. And they enroll in a continuation program where you're charging $500 a month. If we break this into 6-month increments, like I did on your handout, again, look at that upper right corner area under the letter A. You end up with 4 3-month clients, again, 8 per year, who started this 90-day package selling at $19.97. And again, these folks stayed beyond the 90-day initial commitment for a monthly $500 a month continuation program. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. And let's say, just hypothetically, that they stay about 3 additional months. Okay, so they love you, they love what you've offered, and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to stop. And each of these folks say, you know what, I want to stick around. I want to do a month to month program. And hypothetically, we're just estimating that each of them is going to stay an extra 3 months. This is extremely realistic. I've seen it a lot, which is why I use these numbers. And then let's say you have 4 clients, again, each half of the year, that, again, just do the 90-day program, right? So we've already talked about these folks. That's it. They don't continue. They have a great 90-day intensive experience with you, each paying $19.97. So that would mean each half of the year, these people doing the 90-day, these are the people doing the 90-day program only. So you'd essentially have 2 in the first 3 months and 2 in the second 3 months of that 6-month window that we're looking at, right? So I just want to make that part clear. Okay, so again, we're looking at a 6-month window where you have 2 6-month clients the whole time. You'd have 4 3-month clients who stayed an additional 3 months. So essentially they ended up doing 6 months of services in all. And then you'd have 4 3-month clients, only 2 at a time, the first 3 months and the second 3 months of that, again, 6-month window. Okay, so hopefully that you're following along. Now that adds up to $28,000 for a 6-month period in the year. And mind you, I am rounding up to fill in these numbers. So we're going to want to double it, right? Because you got a whole year. So we're going to double that, because over the course of the year, repeating this, the first half of the year and the second half of the year, you'd be bringing in $56K in private client income. So now I do want to know this represents only 8 private clients at a time. And I picked this number because it's extremely doable. Very, very doable. In fact, I will share with you, I've kind of surveyed many of my private clients, and to be really transparent, many of my clients cap their one-on work at 20. So they're actually taking 20 clients at a time, which is, I will say that's pretty much a handful, but just so you kind of have a point of reference. So 8 is like extremely doable. So you've got the 2 6-month clients, you've got the 4 3-month clients who continue. So you've got them throughout, and then you have only 2 at a time of those clients in that last bullet point, right? 2 the first 3 months and 2 the second. So in this very easy and realistic model, you're really only serving 8 private clients at any given time for 56,000 of annual revenue. So not a bad paycheck, right? Now, there are health professionals whose practices command higher than this for their private work. I think we all know people who have a 6-month program and a 90-day program that actually are, charging much more. Case in point, my client Ashley has a 6-month program for IBD clients that she sells for $49.97. So almost 5K a person. And I also know people with 3-month programs that are more in the range of 2,500 to 3,000. But what I want to give you on our handout, again, are numbers that are really in the ballpark of what's absolutely doable in the market. Now, of course, you're giving them your most attention, your highest level of services in this individual one-on-one program. You're giving the most amount of time with you, right? Hand-holding, the highest level of accessibility. And like I mentioned, often you give them, it really depends on, your program. There's no have-tos here. Quite often what I do see is that clients do have the ability to message you in this high-level program, potentially on your, your EMR, right? Where they could do instant messaging. Maybe they email you, whatever really works. And they have extra contact and Q&A time in between the scheduled sessions with you. So this is the highest price and the highest amount of handholding, which is why, again, it's the highest level on your profit pyramid. Now, as I mentioned yesterday, my client Karen, who specializes in autoimmune and gut health, she actually made $30,000 in private client sales by enrolling 15 people into her 3-month program. And she did this in January, just last month, at about 2,000 a person. I think actually it was $19.97. So this is level A, of course, in the profit pyramid. Then there's my client Jackie, who made $23,575 in 1 month. Again, via a combination of private client sales and one high ticket small group, which we'll talk about here in just a moment. And then my client Kevin, who has 3 small kids at home, and again, was working full time at the VA when he made $18K in 1 month. And in order to do this, he bumped his hours up in his practice from, he was working only 6 hours a week. In order to generate 18K, he bumped it up to 10 to 12 hours a week, and then worked full time and, has 3 kids. So the point is it's super doable for you guys. Now, of course, I've taught them how to market themselves, how to promote their work, and most importantly, how to close their sales. In other words, how to actually enroll clients into these packages and programs, because that's really the linchpin of all of this, which is why I'm so excited to be opening my 6-Figure Biz Academy. Again, as of yesterday, we've opened the doors, and this is the 4th time I've run it, back due to popular demand. And we cover all of this stuff in detail so that you can actually achieve similar results. Just a quick reminder, you can read all about that again at www.sixfigurebizacademy.com. And just want to remind you that the first step is a chat. It really is. We want to have a chat with you just to ensure it's a good fit, that you're a good fit for the academy, and that the academy is your next step in your trajectory. So it's not a yes, it's not a no, it's simply an exploratory conversation. So if you're here in this masterclass and really want to create a profitable business that is sustainable over the long haul, I really want to encourage you to check out that page and at least have a conversation with me or someone on my team. And, just a reminder, there is that money back guarantee. So really removing all the risk. So now let's go back to the document and move down one step. So the next step we're talking about is a high ticket signature group program. And this is again level B. And you remember yesterday we talked about a group that's high ticket being maybe a smaller group with a combination of some private services, maybe some group services, or at least a smaller high touch group with a lot of attention, right? A lot of personalized attention, possibly even outside of the group construct. It really kind of depends on how you set it up. So let's pretend, okay, hypothetical, just to give you some numbers to play with, that twice a year you offer a 4-month group that fits into this level B. So let's say you take breaks in between, because again, I want to be realistic here. So we're going to say twice a year you offer a 4-month group, and there are only 8 people in this group program at any time. Okay. Again, they get lots of Q&A time, lots of individual, attention inside of the group meetings. Maybe you've got, a Facebook group for support. Maybe they have accountability buddies. You might even give each of them one private session a month. Again, it just depends on how you want to set it up. And perhaps there's some kind of done for you services inside of this. What would be an example of a done for you service? Well, one example would be like a personalized supplement plan, right? Maybe you draw a lab of some kind, maybe a NutriVal or one of those kinds of labs. And based on the lab and the intake form, you can formulate a personalized supplement plan. So that would be just an example. Or it could be a meal plan. That would be amazing as well. But anyway, we're talking kind of that high level group, high touch group program, level B. So let's say that for 4 months, each participant pays $14.97 for that 4-month period. Again, very reasonable for that amount of camaraderie, group support. Again, maybe you're throwing in a private session or two. If no private sessions are included, then at least a lot of private attention inside of the group setting, a Facebook group for community, lots of accountability, accessibility. And again, I think that's a very reasonable price point. So guys, if you did this twice a year with 8 participants each time, you're making $12K for each group, right? And again, doing it twice per year, targeting, $12K per time, you're looking at making $24,000 for the year just for this particular revenue stream. And I don't think that's too hard to fill given the realistic numbers that I'm offering. Okay. All right. So case in point is my client, Natalie, who made $15,825 in 1 month. And here's how she did it: by enrolling 8 people into her one-on-one signature program, and then 17 people in her 6-week webinar series. Okay. So in her case, she focused first on level A, which is the top of the pyramid, which frankly, guys, is really what I recommend as a starting point if you're just starting. And then she asked herself, the world is my oyster. Where do I want to build next? So we made the mutual decision to build out level C. And she created a wonderful 6-week webinar series. And that was her area of focus. And she was able to generate almost $16,000 in 1 month with that model, focusing on A and C. Okay, back to Jackie. Jackie, I mentioned Jackie earlier. So she made over $60,000, okay, between September 18th of 2020 and March of 2021. So basically the first 6 months of our work together. And the thing I want to share about her story is she was starting at ground zero, okay? She had a full-time job, had nothing in place at all, not a single thing, no social media, nothing. So she made $60K that first 6 months. And then really wonderfully. She hit 203,000 in 2021. So she really ramped it up. So she's officially what we call a multiple six-figure earner. And I know she's super delighted to be her own boss. And guys, I know these exact dates because we started counting, right? The at the exact time when she started with me. And she was able to generate this revenue via a combination of private client packages, so level A, and in her case, she had a high ticket signature group, which is level B. And that's only that's just a 6-month period starting from scratch, right? So she started, again, when she started with me, she was working full time for a bariatric surgeon. And then what's really nice about this story is that she started to generate revenue. She was able to cut down to part-time at her job. And then a couple months later, she had generated enough revenue where she felt comfortable in quitting and now is a full-time entrepreneur. So now Jackie has exceeded the 200,000 threshold, is able to run her own business. And the really cool part is she's able to be there for her newborn daughter, right? And I know that's what many of us want, of course, is to be able to focus on our kids and, things that we enjoy in life. So again, Jackie did this by focusing first on level A, right? She really honed in, got really good at enrolling clients at that high level. And then she thought, what's next? And she decided to add a level B service, right? A level B service. So kind of, that high touch small group program. And now most recently, she decided to turn this high touch group program, this level B, into an evergreen home study program. Now, her home study program is priced a little higher than what I put on here. Her home study program is in the $297 price range. All right. So just to kind of give you an idea, but again, I tried to use really, really reasonable numbers when putting this together for you. So really the point is that this stuff really does work. So there's a lot for you to look forward to. All right, so now let's move down to the middle of the pyramid, level C. And that middle program is possibly maybe a 6 to 10 week webinar series, or maybe it's a 1 or 2 day live event where people come on a Saturday, maybe they come on a Sunday, it could be like a 2-day thing. Maybe they spend a couple days with you learning and, interacting, getting coached in that kind of event. And guys, you can actually do this in an online setting as well. I'm seeing that more and more. Anyway, usually this kind of event would cost, again, conservatively $247 to $797, somewhere in that range. And I'm going to use the 6-week webinar just in this particular example that we're going to go through. All right, so let's say you did a 6-week webinar 3 times a year. Okay. And when I say a 6-week webinar, it's like a class, right? It's a 6-week webinar series. Now, that's not a whole lot. There's only 18 weeks total out of the entire 52 weeks of the year. So doing a webinar series 3 times is not crazy, right? I think it's actually really doable. So let's price it in the middle or towards the lower end. Let's just say hypothetically, it's $397 for your 6-week webinar series. And again, I'm sure you guys have seen, classes out there for $1,000. So, $397, $497 are both very, very reasonable prices at this level. All right. So let's say you bring in 25 people each time. Okay. So now we're going to do some forecasting. I want you to think about what is your target number for this level, for level C. So let's say you bring in 25 people each time, And now, again, you have to market it, you have to promote it. But right now, we're not talking about that specifically. We're not talking about how you're going to do it. We're just putting some numbers down to do some preliminary planning. So 25 people each time for 3 6-week webinar series brings you 397 times 25 people, right? So basically 10K each time. And doing it 3 times a year would equal, of course, 30,000. All right. Now, I told you yesterday, but I'll repeat it again, that one of my clients, Martha, sold 28 spots in an online program. And again, this was her first time out of the gate. So 28 spots into an online program, just like this, like a webinar series. And her price point was $347. And it was a 6-week class on polycystic ovarian syndrome. And she made over 9,700, so 9,700 on that with 28 people, again, at $347 each. I have another client, Jen, who specializes in renal nutrition, and she crossed the 20K threshold in 1 month. So not bad at all. And then we talked about my client, Diane, yesterday too, who enrolled 38 people into a 3-month course, right? So it's similar. It's, more similar to a 10-week webinar. And her price point was actually $500 a person. So 38 people, that is 16,000 in revenue. Now, just imagine that they repeat this 1 or 2 more times throughout the year, and you can really start to see how these numbers add up. Or even better, change your subject matter, maybe change your subject each time, and have, 3 different 6 or 10-week webinar series that you alternate, right? And then some of the same people can take even more than one of your classes that you're offering. And this is really how your numbers can compound. Now, in my 6-Figure Biz Academy, we talk about not only how to design this, but how to launch and market as well. Because for all the programs we're talking about, really, guys, client acquisition is one of the biggest pieces, obviously. If you don't have clients, it really makes it tough to offer these programs. So remember, the 6-Figure Biz Academy is my comprehensive 6-month program where we meet live, guys, live. I'm not pre-recording stuff. Like, that is so common nowadays. I don't do that. The reason I don't do it is because my most important thing to me is that you get results. So I do all of my stuff live. We meet live 18 times. So that comes out to be 3 live sessions each month. We meet for 90-minute sessions where I teach and train and coach you. There's really a lot of personalized coaching for each person, in addition to having all kinds of guest experts, a lot of really extensive handouts, templates, samples, and scripts where we go through how to build all of this, right? So what I'm basically saying is I teach you the how inside of the 6-Figure Biz Academy. So, how to market it all, how to fill it all. And the Academy, again, just as a reminder, is open as of yesterday. And we do have some really killer early bird pricing. I'll be telling you a little bit more about that again shortly. But if you want to take a peek, if you haven't already done so, go to the 6figurebizacademy.com. And I do want to point out that several of you have already scheduled your interviews. So congratulations on really stepping up and making an empowered decision for you personally, as well as for the future of your business. So you can hit these numbers is really the bottom line. But again, they're not astronomical numbers. Some people who coach health professionals it's kind of a little pet peeve of mine, to be really honest and transparent, because they throw around these huge numbers and you get all excited, thinking you're going to be a millionaire overnight. It's just not realistic, and I will never do that. So, because it's very disheartening, and it can be really disappointing. So I decided to take the approach of giving you some really realistic numbers that I can say from integrity, that are very real and honestly very, very reasonable. All right, so now let's talk about your home study program, where you're going to assume you make a home study program, something people can buy and consume at home on their own time, right? So the example I gave yesterday was something that had a workbook and a bunch of handouts and recipes and shopping lists, and had a 30-minute introductory video that was really solid, full of instructions and great tips. Okay, so that's just a nice example. And we're pricing it at about $97 in our hypothetical example. So let's say that throughout the full year, let's just say hypothetically that you sell about 100 of them. So now I'm rounding that to 10,000. Okay. So now over the course of a year, let's say this home study program, let's just say it's always available. It's something you're always selling. All right. And at those numbers, you're generating an extra, 10K per year. Again, in my Six-Figure Biz Academy, we will talk about how you keep residual income product top of mind for your audience, and make sure it's always selling, and that each month you're seeing a handful of sales or even a spike of sales at certain times, using particular marketing strategies and techniques. So let's say we sell about 100 yearly, and that's about 8, 9, maybe 10 a month. Again, I think very, very reasonable. And the revenue generated is 10K for that. Now, let's also be sure to talk about the side income stream of selling, supplements or some other product that are, again, relevant to your business, right? Like, that is super important. So I put this to the side, and I'm not really counting it in the total income projection because it is optional. But I would recommend, if you have, for example, a full script account, my recommendation, if that's the case, is that you do put a number in there. I would take a look at your, the amount of revenue that you've been able to generate through commissions through full script. And I would do some projections because with some pretty simple strategies, you can really ramp that up quite significantly. Things like newsletters, like if you had a nutrient spotlight as an example in your newsletter, I've seen that work really well. There's a lot of different things you can do. So for this case of what we're doing here, I did not assign a number to those external kind of commission-based sales. But I would recommend, if you're involved with Full Script or, any of these other companies, I would add that in. All right. So, all right. So let's see. So, and the other thing I do want to add is I really have seen people generate, a few extra thousand to, honestly, people really can do well with this model. Again, I just use Full Script as an example because I'm mostly familiar with them. They have a great platform, super user friendly, but I mean, really, with a little bit of attention, you can really groom that business. And most importantly, we always are doing this from integrity and to best serve your clients, right? And so by offering, these products, really at the end of the day, it does add a whole new dimension to how you're serving your clients. All right. So I hope you're following me through all of this. And again, we do have some Q&A time in a little while. So, all right, so here we are. The grand total revenue projection is 120K in this example. And like I said, your prices can be higher than this. You can choose to take on more clients or promote in a way that gets higher enrollment than any of these examples. For example, you might have 2 high ticket groups of 8 each going, maybe you've got them going simultaneously, right? And maybe you're running them twice a year, 2 groups simultaneously twice a year. Wouldn't that be cool? So your income really can be much higher. But again, I like showing practitioners how they can break that 6-figure barrier in this very easy kind of laid out type of format. So what I want to stress is that by designing a profit pyramid like this and figuring out how many people you're going to need at which specific price point, then you know what you need to do, right? And that's so important. Then you know, okay, this is what I'm going to do to launch. This is what I'm going to do to offer it. And you can actually begin to lay out a 12-month year ahead of yourself when you've got these different things in place in a way where one thing leads to the next and, everything makes sense. And again, the 6-figure Biz Academy is, we do this in much more detail in terms of laying out the how you're going to get there. Now, I said it yesterday, and I'll say it again, even though I want you to do these projections, I'm not expecting you to have all of these levels of programs in place, all at one time, because it takes time to build out these different sections, and it takes time to build these different parts and pieces of the pyramid. It really does. What I'd love you to do, though, is think, if I in the next maybe 1 or 2 years could have all these different offerings at these different levels, what would they be? What content do I have that lends itself to these different price points? Or what content, would be super appealing to my audience? I really think that is the key. You want to ask yourself, what is the urgent problem that I can help my audience solve? And I think that's kind of the secret to making these work. What is the urgent problem that they want solved now? Okay. And then how many times a year would I have to offer each thing so that the grand total adds up to the number that I'm looking for? Because once we have this, then more or less we've got our marching orders, right? Now, again, there's always, how do I go out and get people? How do I go out and market? Where do I promote? How do I nurture and enroll people through the process of knowing, liking, and trusting me, and then moving into these programs? Now, in the 6-figure Biz Academy, in addition to how you market and promote, we spend quite a bit of time on enrollment, client enrollment, and the art of selling. And really what you learn is selling is not a bad thing. It's not, sell is not a 4-letter word, as some people tend to think. And I'd like you to think of selling as giving people the solution that they are desperate for, and a reciprocal exchange of energy, which is money, right? So kind of a different way of looking at it. Your expertise offers people the services and results that they're desperately needing, and they're happy to go ahead and pay you that reciprocal return of energy, i.e. Money, for the gifts and talents that you are using to solve their problems, right? So it is kind of a different way of looking at it. So there's nothing wrong with the fact that we have to sell our services when we trust that the people purchasing them are thrilled to do so, that they've been, really struggling and suffering and truly are needing what we offer. So again, the 6-figure Biz Academy, we spend a lot of time, as I mentioned earlier, not only how do you market and promote to get in front of your ideal clients, and how do you engender trust and loyalty, but how do you enroll them into actually signing up? How do you, with integrity, sell your services, move somebody from someone who is just a fan in your community, following your work, to someone actually purchasing your work? So how do you do that? And remember, I have kept the investment for the academy at a very reasonable level because I want to make this an easy decision for you. I really do. I know, and you probably know too, people out there charging, upwards of 10,000 for kind of similar programs. Mine, as I mentioned yesterday, is 34.97. 34.97, and we do have an optional payment plan. The course is completely updated, and remember, we meet 18 times live with a ton of hand holding, tons of handout sample scripts, and we also have those 7 amazing, really hand-picked guest trainings. So please check it out, sixfigurebizacademy.com, and you'll have a chat first to answer any of your questions before you enroll. And just don't forget, we do have a money back guarantee, which is like unheard of in this day and age. But for today, I don't want you to worry about the marketing and selling. Okay. What is really important is that you understand how the model breaks into the different numbers and the different metrics to add up to your desired grand total. And that you look at what you created yesterday in your profit pyramid, the different products and programs that you want to put together. And that today you're able to see how you assign the attendance numbers and the fees to add up to that number that's going to give you your idea of a sustainable and profitable practice. So the homework for tonight, as you might guess, is to go ahead and assign your numbers. So what I want you to do is go ahead and assign the metrics to go with each level of the profit pyramid that you created yesterday. So what we're going to do right now is open things up for some Q&A time. And this can be question and answer about last night's homework, about assigning the different levels of services that you were working on last night, and thinking about which programs to offer and what, different price points. I'm happy to answer those. And I'm also happy to look at questions you have regarding today's material in terms of pricing, enrollment numbers, anything along those lines. But again, just a reminder for everybody, the homework for tonight is to go ahead and assign your numbers, really assign those projections, go through the metrics, take your plan that you created last night and put numbers on that so that you have a clear path to the income that you desire and deserve. All right. The other thing I just want to remind you of briefly is, because obviously we have limited time, tonight. So if we don't get to your question, please, by all means, save your questions for Thursday, because remember, Thursday, day 4, is 100% Q&A, right? So I really want to help you get your questions answered, so that you are, basically ready to implement the plan. All right. So that being said, let's see here. All right. So, I'm going to get started with a couple of questions. So here's the question, guys. I'd like to do a group that includes some individualized attention, like labs and supplements, but there are also several subjects that I could teach at the group level. If I still want it to be high touch, would that be some kind of a level B hybrid? Can you share what that might look like? All right, I love this question, and I really like it. So essentially what you could do is you could decide to include certain labs, a personalized supplement plan, maybe 1 or 2 private sessions, Maybe you decide to include an online forum for in-between support and a certain number of group calls. Um, Honestly, some could be teaching. So maybe sometimes you're teaching content, and maybe others are allocated strictly to Q&A and laser coaching, right? So basically, yes, this would be a level B hybrid. And you definitely, if you're wanting to do labs, I think for the most part, you're looking at a level B hybrid because you want to have an opportunity to have like a debriefing session, right? Which would require some one-on-one. Okay. Let's see here. All right. So this is a question. Let's see. Oh gosh, all right, guys, before we take another question, we do have a winner for today's Amazon gift card, and we're upping the ante. Yesterday we gave away a $75 gift card. Today it's $100, and the winner is Jeff Horn. So yay, Jeff! So Jeff Horn wins a $100 gift card, and it's just a thank you for spending your time with me and investing your time into learning this content. All right. So good job, Jeff. Let's see. All right. So Jill has a question. I love these ideas, but can't help but consider the marketing fees needed for these programs to drive interest. All right, so here's what I have to say about that. So actually, Jill, there's actually tons of strategies and approaches here that are very low cost, and in some cases, no cost at all. It's about networking. I would say that is definitely a great strategy, both online and off. And I teach how to use all of the friends and fans who already adore you to spread the word about the first small group you're offering. We also, incidentally, do blogging, social media posting. We always start with free, not paid. We cover list building strategies, i.e., I'll give you some examples like referral partners, contests, maybe some podcast guesting. You could do free webinars. You could offer free promotional webinars, etc. So none of this would require paid ads. Will you at least need a nice website and potentially a Zoom account and a cell phone? Just for instance, I would say yes. But most of everything that I have covered is no cost to you. So there really are lots of ways that we can we can do this. Basically, there's a lot of free opportunities that we can leverage. There are definitely paid as well, but in pure transparency, I would say most of my clients are not using any kind of paid traffic. I happened to talk to one client today. I've been working with her for quite a long time, and she's just now dipping her toe ever so slightly into Google Ads. She's just exploring that as an option. So anyway, there's lots of free options. I think the key is knowing how to implement those free options for marketing. And that's probably where we often get stuck. Okay, so, all right. So this is a question from Natalie. If you're just starting out, what tips do you have for projecting realistic number of clients / participants for these various levels? And this is a really great question as well. Natalie, many of my clients do their very first class, honestly, priced at $237 to $497. And we just shoot for, even 12 people, right? 12 people, I think, is very doable using tons of free and low cost marketing strategies. Then you learn what worked and what you might tweak when you do the course again. And, maybe next time you'll have 20. What matters is doing things correctly in a way that's repeatable rather than going for volume and kind of doing a crappy program, right? So you're going to offer these things again and again and again. So if it's okay to even make a moderate amount of money the first time, knowing it's going to climb from there. And also, don't forget the 12 people who might take your class. They become a pool from which to offer, let's say, your more expensive hybrid group after that first class is over. So you want to think about, what would that next step be? So people tend to become long-term clients and often take more than one program from you, as well as that they tend to spread the word to more and more people. So I guess the takeaway here is don't worry about starting small. And actually, I do have an example. It's kind of a cool story. This just happened this week. So one of my clients was doing I think it was a 6-week webinar series. And as it happens, she's kind of coming down to the wire. And she was like, oh my gosh, I have one person that's paid so far. What am I going to do? And this is a true story. And she was really wanting kind of an excuse to not do it, right? Just to be like, okay, it didn't work. I'm moving on to the next thing. But anyway, we talked through it. And she decided, I gave her a whole bunch of ideas on how she could get people to enroll. And guess what happened? Crazy. By the next morning, she texted me and said, guess what, Leslie? I have 18 people enrolled. Seriously. So it really is possible. And this was her first program. So she's, got 18 people signed up. And for the most part, that just, that happened in a day. So it's a true story. And frankly, that's why I love what I do. To be able to, have stories, see really cool things like that happen. All right. So let's see here. When you create a 6-week webinar, what's the best way to fill it? Do you offer a preview of it or the first class free or, how do you do that? So, all right. So talk about how, basically you do something free. So what I want to share with you is that you do something free, typically as a starting point. So you want to do something free, where like a free webinar, or I have a lot of clients nowadays that do a free, like a free challenge, kind of similar to what we're doing here. So I have one client, her name is Sandra, and she will do a challenge. Like I think she does a 3-day challenge. She does it 3 times a year, and actually they're different challenges. She's like a well-oiled machine at this point. So she runs a different challenge 3 times a year in a Facebook group, and that leads people to the next step. The other thing you could do, maybe instead of doing like a live free event, such as a webinar or like a Facebook series or, whatever the case is. I mean, it doesn't have to be on Facebook, guys. You could do it on Zoom. The platform is not really important. But if let's just say you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that yet, you could start with a free, maybe you decide to start with a new free ebook or PDF, right? So that also could be an option. Ideally, you would have something exciting that leads to the next step. And don't forget, that's what I'm doing right here, right? So I'm offering 4 days of training and not holding anything back, really giving you good, solid training with the hopes that, you will like what you see. You get a sense of what I'm all about. And some of you are going to take that next empowered step. You're going to realize, wow, this stuff is really cool. And I really want to take it to the next level. I am committing to creating a sustainable practice. So some of you will make that next step and you'll join the program. Again, I'm very proud of the Six Figure Biz Academy. So again, you don't have to do a 4-day training. Again, you could do like a free report. You could do like a single webinar. You could do a master class. There are many program launches where I've offered more than one free thing as a teaser to the full depth class. But one thing to note is you want to be sure you really deliver the goods in your free resources. So you do want to deliver high value. And the other thing I do want to point out, I think this is really important. So I want to remind everyone that if you're kind of in the beginning phases of your business, it's super important to prioritize. So I think what I want you to do is like do some projections on these different levels in your business, but do remember you can't do it all at once. It's just not possible. So if you're needing a starting point, again, depends on where you are. My recommendation would be to start with level A, which is your high-end one-to-one programs. And this is especially a good option for those of you that are still in the one session at a time model. I would love to see kind of a show of hands in the comments if that's you. If you're still in the one session at a time model, I would say it's a really tough way to make a living. It really, really is. It's like you're always on the hamster wheel looking for your next client. So if that is you, your first step, honestly, is level A, defining and creating a high touch, what we call signature program that's really designed to help your client to achieve these specific results. And I would say your second step is to really define E. So the free stuff is basically how you're going to get in front of your client. How are they going to find you? So my recommendation, again, if you're kind of new or if you've been around for a while, but you're still in the one session at a time model, I recommend that you prioritize and you start with level A and E. And then once we get that rolling, you start getting people enrolled into your high level programs and you get them going with continuation programs. At that point, we say, wow, where do we want to build out next? And it could be any one of these levels, home study, the webinar series or the high touch signature group. So hopefully that helps. Let's see here. What are some other questions? How do I get over charging well for my work? I feel so guilty. I got into this profession to help people, but I know I'm sabotaging myself. So, guys, it's a false belief that in order to be of service, we should set ourselves up to be broke, right? We have an inaccurate belief, many of us do, that to be of service, we shouldn't charge money or we shouldn't charge much money. And honestly, I disagree with this wholeheartedly. I could not disagree with it more because your work and your talent, your training deserves to be well paid. And are you serving the world if you charge so little that your practice folds? No, because then you can't help anybody, right? So that's the issue. So, and the thing I want to share with you is people value what they pay for. It has been shown over and over again. There's actually a lot of research on this. I happen to know this because I used to, and when I had my nutrition practice, I did work in the corporate arena. I did corporate wellness. And it's super interesting. Like a lot of these corporations will say, no, the client or their employee, they have to have skin in the game. They actually have to pay to play at least part of the fee that I was charging, because if they don't, they're not engaged and they don't get the results. So I know it's it's a win-win. Let me just say, it is truly a win-win. People get results when they invest in themselves. All right. So hopefully that helps. Guys, we are going to, we're going to, we're going to actually have everyone, we're going to have you save your questions, any remaining questions for tomorrow and Thursday. All right. Because we're going to have to, move on for the night, right? Because I know you guys have a lot going on. I appreciate you spending this much time with me. I hope you learned a ton, most importantly. And guys, please remember, check out the Six Figure Biz Academy, sixfigurebizacademy.com. You will not be sorry. Seriously, this is the 4th year I've offered it. I kid you not, people love this experience. Absolutely love it. I have absolute rock star clients that have gone through this course, and they're doing really, really well. They're getting paid well for the work they put out in the world. So really want to encourage you to check it out and just schedule your no obligation chat with either myself or someone from my team, and we'll just see if it's a good fit. And let me tell you, full transparency, we will be 100% honest. I have told people I don't think it's the best fit, right? So I'm not afraid to do that. So please check it out. Do yourself a favor and check it out. And I look forward to having some chats with you over, the next week or so about the Six Figure Biz Academy. So go ahead and go there, click the link that says apply now, and you will be able to schedule a chat again with either me or someone from my team. All right, guys, I hope this was awesome for you, and I hope that I hope to see you tomorrow. Right, so we want to really bring it home. Make sure you come tomorrow, same time, same place. Keep track of your questions. I'll be taking more questions tomorrow after the teaching portion. And then, of course, on Thursday as well. All right, guys, have a wonderful rest of your night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.